Here, so let's get going. All right, good morning, everybody. I am Aaron Fickner. I'm the president of the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, and it is a real honor to be here with all of you and to be here with my friend and colleague, Judy Savage. Judy and I have worked together for many years, and we're both very excited to have the opportunity to bring all of you together to talk about this really important partnership at this really important time in our state's history. So I think this is the first time in many, many years that we've tried to bring together every community college president and every superintendent of the vocational technical schools. And so I just want to thank you all for taking time out of your incredibly busy and complicated schedules. I know this is a very busy and complex and rapidly moving time for all of us. But I think the fact that all of you are here is really an indication of a strong commitment both from community colleges and vocational technical schools that this partnership is really critically important to our institutions, to our state, to our communities. And so it really is exciting to see so many of you here to engage in this really important conversation, to share information, and then to really talk about how do we move forward. I am convinced that our state needs strong community colleges and strong vocational technical schools now more than ever. We are obviously in the midst of the worst public health crisis in probably 100 years, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and we are facing a reckoning based on the terrible tragedies and murders of our African American colleagues and friends across the country. And this is a real time for us to address systemic racism. So I know that community colleges and vocational technical schools are really incredibly well positioned to make sure that we have a skilled workforce, that we're giving people the skills, the knowledge, and the abilities that will serve them well. And we are incredibly well positioned to continue to open up doors of economic opportunity and to address systemic racism in our state and in our communities. So the challenges are great, but I think the opportunities are equally great, perhaps even greater. If we work together, build on the strong collaborations that currently exist to raise awareness among our state partners and others about the incredible work that we're doing, and really find really cutting edge solutions for how do we work together to address the issues that we so deeply care about for our students and for our communities and for our state. So thank you all. Look forward to this incredibly important discussion and look forward to working with all of you collaboratively in the months and years ahead. So thank you all for being here, and back to you, Judy.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you for your partnership and for making this happen today, for bringing us all together. The notion of increasing collaboration between our county vocational schools and county colleges is not a new idea. It's something that we've been talking about and working towards for many years, and all of you have been working together in one way or another for a long time. But as Aaron noted, what's new and different right now is the circumstance in which we find ourselves. This is a fast-changing and very challenging environment. The jobs in the economy are evolving. College affordability is paramount. Of course, the pandemic has put a spotlight on historical inequalities, and resources are just tighter than they've ever been before. The challenges are historic, but we have to ask, is this confluence of trends and crises also an opportunity for us to rethink some of the longstanding relationships and find better, more forward-looking ways to work together? We put together a joint white paper that calls for increased collaboration, and it builds on the 2028 framework that the county colleges developed to suggest some very specific things that county vocational schools and community colleges can do together to better serve our students, to serve employers, communities, and our state as a whole. It makes 4 recommendations. First, county vocational schools and community colleges should work together to implement the new law for work and learn consortia by developing career pathways that incorporate both stackable credentials and degrees and are aligned to workforce needs. The pathways and skills collaboratives outlined by community colleges will help to support and inform that effort. We should take a look at and expand dual credit opportunities and identify some viable models that institutions can adapt to reduce the time and the cost of earning a degree and get our students into the workforce faster. Recognizing the fiscal constraints that face all institutions, schools, and colleges should actively look for ways to share facilities and develop joint ventures to leverage existing resources, including the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. County leaders want and need to see their institutions working together to serve their residents. And finally, as we do all of these things, we should prioritize equity and opportunity as institutions and as state organizations by looking for promising strategies to make high quality opportunities and career pathways available to all New Jerseyans, and especially focus on the industries and areas where minority and economically disadvantaged residents have been underrepresented. Today's meeting's just a start. This is going to take a lot of conversations to tackle some ambitious goals. We wish we were together in a room today as we had planned to do last April, but we agreed that this conversation really can't wait until after the pandemic. So our plan is to bring the county vocational school leaders up to speed with the agenda that community colleges have developed for action. We want to review some best practices for working together by hearing from some counties that have particularly strong collaborations in place. And then we're going to break into smaller groups to begin regional discussions about some specific things that we might be able to tackle together. So before we launch into that, some quick housekeeping. Thank you everybody for having your video on. If you're not presenting, please be on mute. Everybody should have received a packet. Doesn't seem like everybody's into wearing their lays and beads, so that's fine, but the lays will identify where you're going for breakout groups. When you go to a vocational school for a meeting, you're always well fed by our talented students. We couldn't pull that off this morning, so please enjoy your granola bar. Use the chat feature of Zoom if you would like to share comments or information as we go forward. If you want to ask a question, you can use the chat feature for that. We will get to as many questions as we can during the session, but we are really going to try to stick tightly to a very ambitious time schedule to fit within the 2-hour time frame. So if we don't get to questions, we will follow them up. We are recording the main sessions today so that we can go back and review anything that's said. We will not be recording the breakout sessions. So with that, I want to thank you for spending your morning with us. We hope you'll leave as excited as Aaron's team and my team are about this whole endeavor. Before I turn it back to Aaron, we're going to do a quick poll question to see what everybody is most excited about for today. Jake, there we go. You should be able to just click on your answer. All right. Got another 15 seconds for answering the question, and then we'll see where we are. All right. Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for responding to the poll. Aaron, back to you.
Thank you, Judy. So I want to spend just a few minutes talking about some of the things that we are working on in the community colleges, because we really welcome the involvement of county vocational technical schools in our work because of this important partnership. So as Judy mentioned, about 2 years ago, we embarked on an effort to really reimagine the future of community colleges in New Jersey. And many of you probably have read our Vision 2028 report, which came out about a year ago. That was based on large numbers of conversations that we had internally in our communities, among presidents, among leaders in our colleges, among the council, trustees, and discussions that we had had with a whole set of different partners. But really underpinning Vision 2028 was a realization that the world is changing. Even before this pandemic, the world was changing rapidly, and that we as community colleges needed to continue to innovate and find new ways to make sure that we were relevant to the challenges that were facing our state. An underpinning of the whole report was a commitment to do more than our share, to increase the percentages of New Jerseyans that have earned some post-secondary credential or degree. And I know that we would all agree, given the work that we all do, that the vast majority of New Jerseyans will have to have some post-secondary degree or credential if they are going to have an opportunity for a family supporting wage and career. And so that may not always mean a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. That might mean an industry valued credential. We also committed in Vision 2028 that we needed to redouble our effort to build partnerships. And obviously partnerships with county vocational technical schools were front and center in those discussions, but partnerships with 4-year colleges and universities are critically important for us, and you'll hear about some of those today. Partnerships with the workforce development system, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later as well. Partnerships with community and faith-based organizations that serve our communities in ways that we cannot. And partnerships with employers and labor unions who have a deep understanding of the changing needs of their industries and can really help us make sure that we are educating and training people with the skills and credentials and degrees that will help them be successful in their lives while we're building a skilled workforce to propel economic growth in our state. So a cornerstone of Vision 2028 was the launching of what we're calling Pathway and Skill Collaboratives in 4 key industries: healthcare, advanced manufacturing, technology, transportation, logistics, and distribution. The point of these collaboratives is to create a structure to allow us to work together and with employers. So the critical component is to really do a much better job of understanding the needs of employers in those 4 key industries, and to work with them to build broad partnerships. Even before this pandemic hit us, the economy was changing, technology was changing rapidly, the skills that people are going to need throughout their lives, and the need for people to be prepared for lifelong learning and retooling throughout their entire careers. But I am convinced that this pandemic will alter the labor market in ways that we can't imagine. There will be jobs created and jobs destroyed, never to come back as a result of this pandemic. It's hard to imagine that the labor market and economy that we emerge into after this pandemic is over, and we hope it's over soon, will be anything like the one that we are leaving behind. And so it's even more important in our mind that we really redouble our efforts to engage with employers. So the idea behind the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives would be to bring together a statewide leadership team for each industry of key employers, labor unions, industry associations that would guide our work, give us input on the changing needs of the labor market and their needs, to work with us to analyze labor market information to make sure that we have a better understanding of the degrees and credentials that are in demand. And that's really a cornerstone, is the idea of creating an industry leadership team for each of the 4 collaboratives. Another cornerstone is that the collaboratives will be coalitions of the willing. So our community colleges have opted into participating in each of the 4 collaboratives, and we are eager to formally invite all of you to choose to join any one of or all 4 of our Pathway and Skill Collaboratives. We would ask that you designate a staff member that could work with us collaboratively, that could work with us to build statewide partnerships and to engage with employers. We are intending to create maps of key pathways, stackable credential pathways for those key industries, and to make that information available to students and job seekers and to the public, and to use those maps as a way to help all of you make the decisions on building those relationships and those pathways from vocational technical schools to community colleges, from community colleges to four-year colleges and universities. We want to create a truly flexible system of pathways built on stackable credentials with on-ramps and off-ramps, no dead ends, opportunities for students to, throughout their careers, to get more training and education to help them move up the career ladder, to get more of the skills and education, knowledge and abilities that they need to thrive in this rapidly changing world. So we're very excited to be launching the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives. They are led by our Community College Consortium for Workforce and Economic Development, which is an arm of the council, which has been around for about 10 years and gives us the platform to engage with employers and to secure state and federal grants to support this effort. We hope that the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives will be a platform for us to all come together in those four industries: healthcare, advanced manufacturing, transportation, logistics and distribution, and technology, to not only build strong partnerships, but also to secure state and federal grants to support the work that all of you do. So we will be in touch with you with a formal invitation to formally join one or all of the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives. But we believe now is the time for us to engage employers on a statewide level to really understand their needs and to build those strong pathways, building on the incredible work that is already going on in all of your institutions. So we look forward to working with you on that and on many other opportunities to strengthen these relationships. So with that quick introduction of the Pathway and Skill Collaboratives initiative, I'd like to introduce and turn it over to our first panel. So we are going to start off our discussion and our sharing of innovative and best practices by focusing on the topic that, luckily for all of us, was the topic that secured the most votes in the last poll. So we are going to have a panel about dual credit strategies to expand access and improve outcomes. Judy is going to moderate that panel, and we're very excited to be able to highlight the incredibly innovative work that is going on in Morris County and in Bergen County around dual credit programs and deep partnerships between community colleges and vocational technical schools. So with that, I will turn it back to Judy.
Thank you, Aaron, for the overview and for the introduction. Our panel consists of Scott Moffitt and Tony Iacona from Morris County, who are going to talk about their collaboration for several types of dual credit programs, followed by Howard Lerner and Tony Ross from Bergen County. Pat Fitzgerald, yes.
Judy, I don't know if everybody else is having a problem.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
no one could hear what you're saying.
I was going to say thank you. I was going to say thank you for that wonderful introduction.
I wasn't muted. I don't know what happened.
Better.
My earphones aren't working. No worries. All right.
Might
So
help if everybody mutes who's not talking.
yes, please. If you're not on the panel, please be muted. So Howard, Scott Moffitt and Tony Iacona from Morris County, Scott Moffitt and Tony Ross from Bergen County are going to share with us their dual credit programs and engage in some dialogue. So with that, Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Judy. I haven't had to put a jacket on since sometime in February, March. Good thing is I can still wear my shorts and nobody knows.
Secret's out.
Yeah, the secret's out. We've had a long-standing relationship with Morris, County College of Morris. It dates back over 18 years. And we have two primary dual enrollment programs that afford students college credits. One program is our 12th grade option, and another program is what we call our shared time programs on the campus of CCM. Our 12th grade option started very small, and it's steadily grown over the years. We had about 25% of our senior population taking courses on the campus, and it's grown now to about 90% of our senior class taking half or all their coursework on the campus of County College. And that equates to somewhere about 160 to 170 students traversing their campus on any given day. Students in their senior year, if they take advantage of this option, can take all their academic as well as their career courses on the campus. Those courses usually amount to about 24 credits that we will pay for directly. It's a discounted agreement that we have in place with the county college. And so that students have some, and families have some skin in the game, we've moved eventually over to the point where they're responsible for their textbooks, supplies, and materials for any of those classes. They can also round out their schedule and take more classes if they want, and they would be paying on their own for those. But our district will pay for up to 24 credits. Those classes in the 12th grade option are taught by faculty at the County College of Morris. And we have gotten to the point where I said, you know, there are about 160 to 170 students on that campus. They have graciously allowed us some space there for a part-time counselor on their campus. That counselor can help out with any number of issues that you can imagine come with high school age students. We don't have too many, but you know, if somebody has a suicidal ideation, if somebody is, you know, causing a HIB or something like that, they're still a high school student. We still have to address it, investigate it, do everything we would need to do as if they were a senior on our campus. That in a nutshell is our 12th grade option. Oh, it's important that like students have to meet the criteria that's been agreed to with the college to enter that program. So there's certain criteria that have been laid out, a certain score on the AccuPlace or things like that. They have to meet that criteria to even be eligible for the program. Our share time programs is a more recent collaboration. It grew out of some grant programs. We were able to begin an engineering and prototyping or an advanced manufacturing program. And these are for students who are in their junior or senior year. After that and the success that program has had, we've added cybersecurity and then more currently added culinary and hospitality. The school district will pay for 30 to 37 credits for the students. This is a little different model. We've employed the professor, it's typically been a professor at County College, as an employee of our district for this junior year population. So the teachers are usually, they're also high school certified and also on the staff of the college. So they've met all standards that they need to meet to teach in a high school. So at any point in time, they're working for us or the county college. These programs have actually been hugely successful. We're even hearing about it from other school districts in the county, and they're actually encouraging us to expand and or pursue a one-year option. These right now are 2-year options, and we're receiving more and more interest in a 1-year program to address senioritis that occurs in most high school student bodies. Those are the 2 programs in a nutshell.
Great, thank you. Should we move to Bergen County? Howard, do you want to give us a quick overview of your programs at Bergen County Community College?
Sure, thank you, Judy. I apologize up front if it seems like at least for my technology, it seems to be freezing up every 10 minutes or so. Hopefully it won't be a problem. We also in Bergen have a long-standing relationship with Bergen Community College. Also goes back probably 20 years, way before I've been here. I'm here now 14 years. It started with a relationship with Paramus Technical School and BCC. We had some dual enrollment programs in the traditional trades like horticulture and culinary. And then we moved some of that dual enrollment status over to Bergen County Technical Schools at Teterboro for some of their academics in areas like math, English, history, and world language. And we've had those dual enrollment programs continue all these years. But about 5 years ago, with the help of a state grant, we decided that we wanted to build a fourth high school here in Bergen County. And we started to think about collaborating and working with Bergen Community College in building that high school program. And the concept was we wanted to build a high school that had programs that could lead students right into an AA degree at BCC. So we were very specific in the type of programs we were looking to build, and that BCC already had an AA degree in. So we spoke with people at the college at the time. They gave us a couple of rooms and an office in a hallway to start our program. The first program was Advanced Manufacturing Engineering Technology. We accepted 30 students into the first 9th grade. And we were very, very concerned about opening a high school on the campus of a community college, because you're talking about 8th graders making the decision to leave their town, go to the technical schools, but not really the technical schools. It's on a campus of a community college. And that first year, we had close to 100 applications for 30 seats. We opened that program that year, and then each year, we accept another 30 students in the incoming 9th grade. The concept is that when we have grades 9 to 12, which right now we do in advanced manufacturing, you have 120 students per grade. When we got to the acceptance of the 4th, 9th grade in advanced manufacturing, we also accepted the first 9th grade in our second program, which is health professions. And again, BCC had created this beautiful health professions building so that we did not have to recreate labs. We could have some shared services, and BCC was kind enough to allow us to schedule our students into that lab. Now, of course, our program has grown over the years, and since that time, we have come out of that hallway, and we received pretty much now half of a building called Ender Hall on the campus of BCC. We are currently at 210 students. We have 120 in advanced manufacturing, 90, so that's grades 9, 10, and 11 in health professions. And when we accept next year our 4th, 9th grade in health professions, the concept is taking our first 9th grade in cybersecurity. That will be our 3 programs that we will have in the high school on the campus. It's going to be 3 programs with 360 students. Now, the high school, we provide students with anywhere from 24 to 30 college credits that we pay for at Bergen Community College, at Bergen County Technical Schools. Our students get those credits either by having college professors come into the classroom at the high school and teach them, or our high school teachers get quote unquote certified from BCC to teach those programs, and they get college credits. Now, we had 2 graduating classes so far. In the first graduating class, we had 13 out of 27 students graduate high school and receive their AA degree the same month. And this past June, we had 21 out of 28 students graduate high school and receive an AA degree. Now, the great thing about that is both programs, and the third program will as well, we have partnerships and connections with four-year colleges. In advanced manufacturing, it's with NJIT. In engineering technology and in health professions, it is Ramapo and Felician. And what's great about it is if they receive a high school diploma from us and an AA degree from BCC, they will be accepted into those programs automatically to get 2 more years if they want to continue to receive their bachelor's degree.
That's great.
It's been a fantastic program, and the high school is flourishing.
Fantastic. That's a great overview of the two programs. Thank you. Let me pose a question to the presidents of County College of Morris and Bergen Community College. Tony Iacona, what do you see as the major benefit of the dual credit programs from the college perspective?
The benefit really is the opportunity that it provides, and that's actually, several branches of opportunity. One is it provides the colleges an opportunity to more completely fulfill their mission, which is to serve the whole community. I think great community colleges are economic engines. They're also social engines that really focus on equitable outcomes. So I think when we partner with our colleagues at the vocational technical schools, we really have a very powerful vehicle for change and to really empower individuals. I know the quality that's offered at Morris County School of Technology is exceptional. When Scott students come over here, they are well prepared. They do very well. What makes me really excited is to see the opportunity they get, because, everyone's interested in something different. And what we find is programs like this tend to produce not only higher high school graduation rates, but it introduces students to college pathways much earlier, and many who might not get introduced at all, right? So it encourages more individuals to seek out post-secondary education. Students who get these opportunities tend to, stay after high school graduation in higher ed. They might not stay at our schools. We always hope they do, but they've got a plan. They do move on. So better high school graduation rates, higher levels of post-secondary attainment, all of which means stronger communities. And as community colleges, that's the central role that we really play. So it's just, to me, they're win-wins across the board.
And to just to be mindful of time and not to parrot everything that Tony said. Our other Tony, and we have this conversation when we have our regular meetings. There's a third Tony that's a part of the group as well. So it's great to be with you all. And Scott, I just have to say that I understand how you felt about putting a jacket on, because I don't know if all of you noticed, but I started out with a tie and I quickly stepped away and took the tie off to make sure I stayed with the appropriate dress code this morning. And I was really choking. I forgot how to tie my tie, so it was a struggle. But with that, I would say that, again, with Bergen Community College, and I'm here as an interim president right now, and I appreciate everything that I've learned from Howard in our relationship, because as I've toured the school and met with Howard, the benefits are tremendous for our students. And I call the Applied Technical High School students our students, because they truly are our students. They come, they're well prepared, they are excited about the opportunities. And then when you think about just the notion of how a parent and a child starts to think about the fact that they can graduate high school and community college with an associate's degree at the same time, that's a tremendous opportunity for the parents as well as for both institutions. And so we look at that and we understand the importance of our mission, as Tony indicated earlier, and most importantly, the importance of our relationship as a community college and as a technical high school. So, I mean, you saw some of the footage of the students in the labs, the relationship that Howard talked about, and You know, the college or the program is 5 years old, and you know, the sky's the limit in terms of where it's going to go. I think that that's how it indicated. You know, what started as 4 classrooms in a hallway has now really grown into a significant portion of that building that we know that it can only be achieved through ongoing communication and partnerships, that we know that we're serving students who will be the economic drivers of the county and certainly the state of New Jersey.
I want to dig a little deeper on that issue of the relationships that
Okay.
make these partnerships go. What's really the role of the institutional leaders, the presidents and the superintendents, and who are the other key people in both institutions who really make this work?
Okay, from obviously the president and the superintendent have to be of one accord, and you start with that. I think the other thing for us that's really unique is, given the fact that we have the high school right on our college campus, then we are responsible and work with them for the facility and maintenance. So our vice president for facilities and our director of facilities work extremely close with the leadership of the high school as well as the county superintendent. In addition to the fact that our vice president for academic affairs and then our continuing ed executive director is involved as well. So it's a whole team, and we really, you know, the whole notion or the notion of the concept of it takes a village, it takes a leadership team and as a village at that level to be able to make it work and to understand the commitments that we have. And how would I turn it over to you on the second half of that?
Yeah, I think you alluded to it, Tony, the liaisons that we set up. I mean, everyone knows from the college level and from the technical schools level that, you know, we want this to work in creating a new high school on the campus of BCC. And we set up liaisons, and those liaisons deal with everything they need to deal with, whether it's facilities, scheduling. You know, it's very different, a college setting and schedule to a high school setting and schedule. So, but there's nothing that can't be worked out if you have the right people working together as a team. Just an example, one thing I didn't say with the high school is every 12th grader in all of our programs on the college campus go to college. They come in the morning, they sign in high school, in the Applied Tech High, and then they're taking college courses. There's a lot of logistics that go along with that. So key is the liaisons. Obviously, you're correct, Tony, you and myself working together and everybody knowing that we want this to work. And the support from the county has been fantastic from the beginning. The county officials, the county executive freeholders wanted to see this type of collaboration in our 2 county school districts and colleges. So, and it's been tremendous support all the way down the line.
Yeah, that relationship is really essential. I think when we talk about those relationships, we're really talking about a culture of expectations in a very comprehensive way, right? So Scott's team knows what he expects of them. Mine knows what I expect. Scott and I work together. We share joint expectations of making sure we've done everything we can. As Howard says, there are going to be a lot of challenges and obstacles, and so we expect our teams to resolve that. We share we've got a shared vision. Our freeholders, as we've alluded to, are part of that culture of expectation. They really view this program really as a continuum. Basically, the students will get into a really great school like Scott's and then have the opportunity to be on our campus. And when you look at and say 90% of his senior class is on our campus, right, and you see this going on around the state of Florida, I don't know other models like this, frankly. Shouldn't 90% or more of every high school in America students have a career pathway while they're in high school, rather than they don't have one? It's vague to the student, and they're expected to kind of figure this out, maybe with minimal attention. When we talk about, you know, the expectations in the United States that we recognize, post-secondary credentialing is going to be important if individuals want to have self-sustaining jobs, if they really want to have great lives and so forth. This is the pathway for that. But without those relationships, without that culture of expectation, it doesn't happen. If Scott and I didn't have a relationship, if Scott didn't have a relationship with my predecessor, if our teams didn't work extremely closely together, it wouldn't happen. That's impossible. And that would be a shame, because that means hundreds of students and across the state, thousands of students wouldn't get the opportunity that they're getting. And ultimately it means we wouldn't be fulfilling our missions.
I echo everything everyone is saying. The only thing I would add is the other relationships that are hugely critical are the ones with business and industry. You know, we all have our advisory groups, and you know, we all start bringing some of those together. So we have advisory groups of members from contacts and relationships that the county college and Tony has, and some from ours. And you know, while we deal a lot with freeholders, we know that there are a lot of economic development groups that get together, and very often Tony and I are there together talking about what we're doing, and they start to see us as part of a solution to bigger challenges. So business and industry are our key partners in that relationship as well.
And the two entities working in concert with each other sends a really positive and powerful message to the business community instead of them seeing them fractured. So 40% of the people on our call today said dual credit is the thing that they're most excited about talking about today. So with that, and recognizing that we're coming to the end of our time, I want to ask each of you, what is the one piece of advice that you would want to give to another county vocational school or college that is really thinking that this is something that they'd like to ramp up?
Well, I'll start and I'll say, start by reaching out. Start by saying we want to collaborate. We may not even know exactly what we want to do yet. But if we bring a couple of people together from both organizations and brainstorm some ideas, there's many models. These are just two models that we're talking about, and obviously they work very well. I think people want to create programs like this. I think we can create programs like this. And we want to, once we do, we want to create programs that are sustainable. Scott talked about 18-year relationship. We're probably in that same time frame, 18, 20 years of relationship. You know, Tony is probably the third president that I've been working with, but we want to create this program so it's sustainable, regardless of who's there, who's sitting in our seats, that it continues. And Tony said something to me, you know, in the beginning of August when him and I just met. And he said, you know what, we should sit down, look at our 10-year contract and shore it up to make certain that regardless of if he's here or I'm here or anybody else, this high school is going to continue on that college campus because it benefits everybody.
The other thing I would add in is just the notion of when you're thinking about, you haven't thought about it already, number one, listen to the ideas and the thoughts, be creative. And, you know, the notion of thinking outside the box, we talk about all the time, but I just think that there are some opportunities out there that if we don't avail ourselves to them in terms of listening and thinking beyond our current constraints, be it the pandemic or fiscal, then we're just limiting ourselves and the opportunities. And so I would just say, listen to every idea. We always talk to our staffs about, you know, throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks. I think it's important for us as the leaders, as county superintendents, as well as college presidents, to be able to say, okay, let's listen. There's never such a thing as a bad idea, and let's move forward.
Yeah, I would say tie into the network. You know, what we do together. Aaron outlined 4 key areas of focus, which all lead to tremendous careers with great growth opportunity and so forth. But anybody who's thinking of really getting involved in this, if we were brand new, I would reach out, and I would invite anyone, reach out to us. Come onto our campuses. I know Scott and I'd be happy to sit down with anyone, meet with them, take a tour of Scott's school, tour the facilities on our campus, and start getting acclimated. But, you know, I think everybody in this call is very committed to this kind of work and would be more than willing to help anyone who's not already doing it or maybe they just want to scale it up. Take a look at what we're doing. If we can be helpful to others, we'd love to be able to do that.
The only thing I would add is, start small, be realistic. There will be a lot of challenges. There will be pockets of resistance, you name it. It's all going to be worth it in the end, but start small, work through those challenges. I mean, you're going to have bursar issues, billing issues, textbook issues, nursing service issues, special education issues, but start small, they're manageable. Work through those, get the systems in place, and then you're going to grow. We're at 200-300 students on that campus. It didn't start there. It started off like 15 to 30 kids, years ago. So start small.
Yeah.
What I want to share is that if others have been able to do it, we can also do it. So based on the examples that we have and the past experiences, what others have been able to do, we could look at it and also adjust to customize our area and see how best we can promote this partnership. One of the things that I want to bring to everybody's attention is to start thinking about how we could share common facilities, because a number of these programs and the projects that we want to do, if we think of sharing facilities, we could do them and do them well.
That's great. That's a great point. And we hope that when we have our breakout sessions later this morning, that we will actually be able to begin those conversations. So I want to thank Scott and Howard and Tony for their efforts to share information with you. I think it was a great panel. Tip of the iceberg, but you heard them say it. You have questions, you want to see how it's done, encourage you to reach out. So as we wrap up, we're going to do another quick poll question before we move right into the next topic, which will be Work and Learn Consortia.
I like this little survey thing going on.
Better than the Survey Monkey. You get to see the results right away.
Very technologically advanced there, Judy.
Yeah. Like Family Feud. Survey says. All right, 59% think we are maximizing and 41% say there's room for growth. Good, thank you everybody. All right, we are now, we're gonna move into our next topic. I'm gonna turn it back to Aaron and introduce Fred Keating. I paraphrase the governor to say the man who needs no introduction, the president of Rowan College of South Jersey, and Michael Dicken from Gloucester County Institute of Technology, Dina Rossi from Cumberland County Technical Institute. Aaron?
Great, thank you, Judy. And that was a great panel. Thank you to our friends and colleagues in Morris and Bergen for sharing your innovative programs. So now we'd like to do a very short panel to talk about the Work and Learn Consortium model. And as many of you know, the legislature passed in January of this past year unanimously legislation that would establish the Work and Learn Consortium model as a mechanism for deeper collaborations between county colleges, community colleges, and county vocational technical schools. This legislation, as I said before, was passed unanimously, signed by the governor. And I think that's an indication of the commitment and understanding of the legislature and state leaders that the community college county vocational technical school partnership is really, really important. So the legislation, which was championed by Senate President Steve Sweeney, but introduced by and sponsored and co-sponsored by a really diverse group of leaders in the legislature, is really intended to create a model for collaboration. And in many ways, it's built on a lot of the innovative work that's happened at Rowan College of South Jersey in partnership with the county vocational technical schools, both in Gloucester County and in Cumberland County. And so I'm excited to have an opportunity for all of us to hear more about that model. So the purpose of the Work and Learn Consortium legislation was to create certificate and degree programs that would lead to employment in industries that have a high demand for employees. And it was really the legislation and we will send all of you a link to the legislation following this event. The legislation says that a county college and a county vocational technical school district shall create a work and learn consortium that brings together a set of partners to build these academic and non-academic partnerships to provide students with an opportunity to earn stackable credentials, and then develop that guided pathway for students so that they know the path that they are on. So with that very quick introduction, I'd like to introduce President Fred Keating from Rowan College at South Jersey. So Fred. So Fred, are you with us?
Good morning. I'm here.
All right. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Judy, Aaron, everyone. Great to be back with the county vocational superintendents. Still pride myself as probably the only one who's ever served in both capacities in New Jersey. So having that unique perspective is something that I am proud of, but also I recognize that it's given me a lot of opportunity to work with some great people. And Mike and Dina are two of them that in the Rowan College South Jersey model that we have at Cumberland and Gloucester County. As already mentioned, and to be brief, knowing that we're on 5-minute clips, the legislation came and the governor signed it back in January 21st of 2020. I would call this the best kept secret in New Jersey. If we questioned each other if such a bill exists and the governor signed it into law, I think we would fail the test that we know it's even out there. So it comes down to today, which I think is timely, because the focus is on the relationship of the two entities, the county college and the vocational system, that this piece of legislation, if we could dust it off and make it breathe, that what we would get would be, again, another brick in the wall of the relationship between the two parties. This came from a conversation that actually I had with Aaron at one of the county college president's councils, with the idea that tail and dog wagging the tail or tail wagging the dog, that labor would and should tell us in education the field and the area of need in that geographic region or state, and that we would develop pathways to get to that credentialing. And we needed partnership that you heard in the dual, similar to the dual enrollment and the idea of early college with regard to the vocational school and the colleges, both under county jurisdiction. So it's not as complicated as some people thought. It's basically gluing parts together. Therein lies the rub. The devil is always in the detail, but the partnership was a 3-3 as I remember it. It's on your screen. The legislation calls for the VOTEC and the county college to be the lead entities, which I think is very appropriate because coming under county jurisdiction, you can get the idea of the workforce development boards, economic development boards, and at least in Gloucester and Cumberland and in many counties around the state, not all I believe, but many, those components are all on one site. So this idea that we're talking about a campus approach, economic development and workforce development, the one-stops, the job center, labor, which brings DVR for special needs populations, having them on soil, just like a high school component that you just talked about, really completes the campus. So the trick is, as I heard on my colleagues earlier, about the relationship, the county vocational school, the county college, and a 4-year college or university. And I know that today we're focused on the vocational and the college, so I'll just leave that one out there. But in my opinion, you need to have closure up to at least the baccalaureate. So the idea of the two county entities to be pushing it together, you have the workforce development, the chambers, and business and industry. We did most of our work through the Chambers of Commerce. They actually now are physically located on the Gloucester campus, and we're trying to find a way to connect them more to the Cumberland campus. So with that, Aaron captured it. We basically took the best practices of both. We let labor direct us in the areas. Once we established the curriculum, we put it in that it was an idea that we would work with the high school with the overlapping aspect of dual enrollment and high school option curriculum. We got into the idea of having these industry valued credentials, and we needed advisement from labor, and we have those advisory boards on all of your campuses. So the idea of what's the credentialing of the future. And then we got into the idea of a pathway that was guided, which is the terminology of the last few years. So we just grabbed it with the idea that we had specific advisors. Prior learning was baked into the PLAs. We felt strongly that you had to have a prior learning assessment opportunity for non-traditional students. We used some phrases, and we still do, of on-ramping and off-ramping, meaning an individual comes in, brings credential to it, brings a resume, credits established, credential is identified. Once they achieve the beginning credentialing, they may go back to work or to work, and then we would encourage the employers to allow them to come back. So one thing we did was incentive the Chambers of Commerce that they could send their employees back to the college for continuation of degree or certificate, and we gave them a reduction in price if they were a member of the chamber. The return was they had to provide internship opportunities. That was the quid pro quo. So this idea of getting experiential learning baked into it was a critical piece as well. So when you look at those pieces and you put them together and you put it under the leadership of the college and the VOTEC, now it comes down to the cooperation of the entities. And I know that varies county to county, but the hardest part was to get the 6 parties in a room, at least willing to, as I've heard earlier, talk and recognize that territorial issues were not that critical, that we all had a common theme and need. Now look at us in a pandemic. If ever this thing made sense, it's today. Because if we're going to exit this, the prior call I had to make to get onto this one was the mayors of Cumberland and then the mayors of Gloucester County with their associations. The conversation was, how do I put my people back to work? So since we're sitting in record unemployment and we've lost our connective tissue to the high schools, we're both going to suffer, whether you can open or whether we can continue online and survive this pandemic. So I think structurally, my closing thought on this gives us structure. We all do this, but we do it in 21 counties differently and to varying degrees. This provides structure. Think about it being a law blows my mind because I haven't heard anyone talk about it until Judy and Aaron said, do you want to bring it up at this conference? This is a sleeper, but I think if we wake it up and we incorporate it as part of who we are as 2 entities that are, related and right on the hip of each other, even physically, that we could take the lead. And I think we need politically and perceptually to take the lead in this idea of a work and learn model, which gives an individual the opportunity from stacking their certificates in vocational high schools and their diploma. And we put a stackable credential right in the freshman year at the college based on the industry. Then we went to the associate degree. Rowan University brought in a CUGS, a certificate of undergraduate study, in the junior year, and then they capped it off with the baccalaureate, generically as business studies. And then in many cases, the student broke out into individual specific training of one of the 7 schools at the university. But in our case, we are the foundation and the persons that can put this thing together and let it be alive. So I think it needs to be, rebirthed. I think that both of our councils should take a hard look at this. It provides discipline and structure in the makeup and the pathway. It brings in all of the pieces that float out there of guided pathway, prior learning, internship opportunity, labor relevant, where did you get your data in workforce and economic development? And it makes the county situations in those arenas, I think, be more responsive to the educational partnership. Speaking for myself only, I found there was always a disconnect when I was at the vocational school and when I'm at the college with regard to workforce development and labor. It was kind of like a handshake agreement. And I still credit Aaron with turning me around to thinking that this is the dog wagging the tail, not the tail wagging the dog. Industry and labor should be telling us in education what are the training components for the workforce of today and tomorrow. We should respond and be partnered with them, and we should structure this design. And I recognize the hard parts to get a four-year school in play. We in Gloucester and Cumberland were very fortunate to have Rowan University as our premier partner and continues to be our premier partner. One of the deals in our arrangement was that they would work and cooperate in program development, credentialing, and capstoning off a baccalaureate. So this goes from high school to a bachelor's degree, off and on anytime you want. Chambers of Commerce have all bought in. The uniqueness is Gloucester has one chamber. We're in Cumberland, we have three, Bridgeton, Millville, Vineland. So having this mixed bag, it makes it a little awkward, but again, the one-stop centers and development are on the campuses. I would encourage, and I've encouraged those legislatively, and when you look at the individuals that sponsored this, you touch almost half of the counties in New Jersey. So I know there's political backing. The concept is simplistic, yet it's something we failed to do. And I think this is just an opportunity to put a frame and a structure on the concept so that we know how to behave and that we behave in a similar fashion. And in doing it, I think we can take an individual from high school. More importantly today, what the mayor's just told me, how about the non-traditional workers that are underemployed, unemployed, seeking to change their career, now have a structure of reentry. And the PLA should not just belong to Thomas Edison. I think we should all get involved in that, with them or on our own. That prior learning does count. Credits do work. The hardest part was getting faculty to buy into the concept that experiential learning would count as credit. It wasn't CLEPing as much as it was just bringing it in experientially. So if you can get that kind of cooperation, and we have in Gloucester, and now that we're merged with Cumberland, we're working, and I'm working with Dina, and this was all part of our strategic plan coming forward when the pandemic took us all down. But last thought, I would offer this as a structural change to be built in both of our constitutions with regard to the operational relationship of merging education and labor. And I would encourage the council, or both councils, to have NJBIA or others come in and adopt it. That they come in strongly. County government has an obligation legally to participate physically, to be on site if they can arrange it. We're in the process of building the center on the Gloucester campus today to catch up to Cumberland. So we'll have them on both. And closing, one thought, I would say in the end, we've talked to our counties, and if I were king, I would make the workforce development and economic development and workforce development boards part of the county colleges, and have it truly one entity that operates the vision of labor demand and how do I get to it with technology and training, and how do I keep it going through chambers and other considerations of business and industry. So I'll turn it over to my colleagues. I hope I stayed in my 5-minute restriction that Judy told me I had, and let them put some flesh on the relationship. But it is the law. So let me leave it there that, we may not be doing it or paying attention to it, but I personally would offer to my colleagues, both councils, this might be a strong piece of the way out of a pandemic to politically put some structure. So with that, Aaron, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you for that overview and of what you're doing in the model. And I'd like to ask Michael Dickin and Dina Rossi to comment from their perspective from County Vocational Technical Schools, how the model is working, what you would like to highlight to your colleagues around the state. So let's start with Michael, and then we'll turn to Dina.
Well, thank you, Aaron, and welcome everybody, and good morning, and thanks for allowing me a few moments to talk about our partnership with Rowan College of South Jersey through this consortium. I've heard a lot of different comments today about relationships and collaboration and cooperation and sharing resources, and this is a perfect example of the work that's being done that's benefiting all the students that we serve, whether at the high school level or at the post-secondary level. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work with Dr. Keating for over 20 years now, and have been shown the importance of some of these relationships. And stepping outside of your box and looking at things in a wider vision. But to talk about this consortium, I'm a strong proponent of widening pathways and giving our students as many opportunities as possible. When I first came to the vocational school here in Gloucester County, only half the students were eligible to take college credits. The students that were in our more traditional vocational programs, such as construction and automotive, weren't even offered college credits when I first got here, which I thought was discriminatory and unequitable for our students. And our students and our families wanted more. So this is my 10th year as superintendent, and I've been working to widen pathways and opportunities. So when this Work and Learn Consortium was presented to me, I thought it was a no-brainer to be part of it. And this comments about college and career readiness. Another issue I faced when I first came to Gloucester County was, where do those paths meet? We have 5 classrooms at the college now and about 180 seniors taking full or part-time. And when we first introduced that part of the program, some of my faculty really had a difficult time with, are we moving away from the mission of true vocational schools as they saw it? And we've worked hard to change that mindset, and we have really worked hard to make our students more marketable and give them as many equitable opportunities as possible, regardless of what career fields they chose, because as we all know, these career fields are now intertwining. I have engineering students who are taking automotive courses, automotive students who are taking engineering courses, cosmetology students who are taking business courses. So that's, students want more today. And this consortium gives us that opportunity. But when I was presented with the benefits to the student, those that I'm responsible for serving, I just couldn't say no. And here are the benefits that were presented to the students that are either at the college or to Gloucester County Institute of Technology in Cumberland County. Graduates prepared to enter in a high demand field. Eliminating concerns and anxiety about postgraduate job opportunities. Affords multiple industry value credentials, making our students more marketable. Excuse me. Providing flexible stop-out points at the end of each academic year. As Dr. Keating said, especially during this pandemic now, families and workers and employees and students have so many other needs going on, giving them opportunities, as Dr. Keating mentioned, the on-ramps and the off-ramps. Internships are so important to vocational schools and our students. Another benefit to students. Converting work experience and prior learning, turning them into credits. And of course, ensuring academic compliance with internships, as I mentioned. So when all those things were presented to me, that opportunity I could not pass up. And we've been so fortunate, and the people who are the most fortunate are the students who attend our schools and the employers who are a much more talented student who has more industry credentials who can help them, especially during this time of economic need. And that's my 2 cents on Work and Learn Consortium from Gloucester. We're grateful to be part of it, and I would encourage anybody who's not part of doing something like this to strongly consider it.
Thank you, Michael. And then let's turn to Dina in Cumberland for your perspective.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. And I'd like to thank Dr. Keating and Mr. Dickon for their presentation. So you all may be wondering, how do you start? And you all know I'm the new kid on the block, 4 years old only in that newness. And I had the distinct advantage of having all of these models kind of in formation, but also that our county put the Center for Workforce and Economic Development on the college campus prior to us opening our doors here. As most of you know, we are also located on the college campus with the literal pathway between both, all 3 institutions. So how do you start? And what we felt was necessary here in Cumberland County, and what has served this process well, and Gloucester also is an example of this, is that it was very important for us to go to the businesses and the industries first and ask them what it was that was important, not only in an employee, but what type of employee were they looking for as far as college credits, as well as extension in positions. So that was our first and largest task, but it was through their support and those conversations with institutions like Inspira Health Network, with South Jersey Steel, with a lot of the advanced manufacturing companies that are here, especially in food processing, to ask them their specifics. And we asked, but then we also tailored programs that were unique to those asks. And that was the most integral piece of all of this. We heard today about dual credit and dual enrollment, which we all have our unique spin on, but it really was the extension of the pathway to the business and industry, saying, are we on the right track? Are we giving you the employees that you need in order to sustain your businesses and also sustain our communities? So if all of you are considering these types of opportunities, it's really important to start with the businesses and industries within your county in order to have a really strong picture of what they need. And I thank you for having us present. I also thank you for all of your support throughout these processes and trying times. And if I can be of any service to any of you, I would be happy to answer any questions. Feel free to email me. And thank you for giving me this opportunity, Aaron and Judy.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Fred, for your words and for sharing the innovative work that you're doing, both in Gloucester and Cumberland in partnership with Rowan College of South Jersey. So thank you very much. So we'd like to ask a poll question as a transition to our small group breakout session. So Jake, if you could put the poll question on the screen. Now that you've learned more about the Work and Learn Consortium model and the related state law, is this something that will be helpful in your county? And I'll give you all a minute to click yes or no, and then we'll transition to our next sessions. All right, I think that was a simple yes/no question. So Jake, do you want to show us the results? All right, excellent. 98 to 3. It doesn't add to 100, but hey, it's close enough. Thank you for all responding to that question. I think it does provide us a model to work from, and look forward to working with all of you on the issue of Work and Learn Consortiums. So now we are going to really dig in and roll up our sleeves and have some small group discussions. And so this is really an important part of the session. We are going to break up into regional groups of presidents and superintendents in the Northeast, the Northwest, the Central, and the South. And all of you have color-coded lays that go along with your region. The Northeast folks, and maybe you could hold them up, have yellow lays. Who's here from Northeast? Northwest, you've got green. I guess it's the mountains and the forests of the Northwest. Central is blue. All right, Mark, thank you. And then South is pink. All right, thank you all for playing along. We have a series of questions. There'll be a facilitator, there'll be a note taker. We will ask each of the groups to nominate a presenter, because once we've had discussions, we're going to come back and we're going to ask for quick report outs on some of the big ideas that came out of your discussions. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jake, who's been doing a masterful job of organizing the technology, who's going to provide us with some logistical directions.
Thanks, Aaron. Good morning, everybody. So I just ask everybody, please be patient for 1 or 2 minutes. We're going to break you up into rooms and send you on your way. Just a couple housekeeping things. First, you'll have 30 minutes in the sessions. Once we start, you'll get a 5-minute warning from me when we're at 25 minutes. And then when it's time to return to the main session here, you'll see a 60-second clock countdown that'll say the breakout room is going to end in 60 seconds. You'll have some moderators there, as Aaron mentioned, and some note takers. And those moderators know how to get to me if you have any technical issues or glitches whatsoever once you get to your breakout rooms. So again, please give me a moment. We're going to pause the recording also, and wish you all the best in those breakout rooms.
discussions as well. So we wanted to just be obviously very aware of people's time, but to give each group a chance to give a very brief overview of the big takeaways and next steps from your perspective. And so, Mike, are you the speaker for South Jersey? If so,
by default, yes. And in South Jersey, we basically, we are the vanguard of everything. We understand that, so we'll take this responsibility. But the idea here was that we're already fairly symbiotic as the CTE world and the community colleges. We've got the 3 C's: communication, collaboration, cooperation. Relationships are very solid throughout each county. Talked a little bit about some alternatives that we've had with different pathways, alternative schools being affiliated. The need to get more in the CTE world than the academy world as far as this jointure goes. People mentioned that they have integrated advisory boards between community college and VOTech as well. All of this comes down to money, and this is where we kind of went off in another direction. We had the expertise of Fred Keating on there, who has had significant exposure to the Maryland model for how to do this. And that's something that our takeaway is that our effort at this point is to use that Maryland model, massage it whichever way we have to, be able to actually put something on the table as a political bloc, being the community college world and the CTE world, and be able to actually move something forward and get it into the legislature for action, but at least conversation to start out with. We need to find out how the money is going to go if we're ever going to get to the next level.
Great, thanks, Mike. So let's go to Central Jersey. Who is the presenter there?
Hi, it's me. It's Kim Schneider from Mercer. Hi.
Hi,
So
Kim.
I'm representing Mercer, Middlesex, Ocean, and Monmouth. And some of our next steps would be to explore some type of virtual university library that would then be able to expand academics to students and staff, professional development to facilitate online classes through the community college. We're also considering, expanding the chamber leadership to expand and include tech superintendents, the possibility of putting workforce development boards on the community college campus with support, and expanding our 4-year partners and expecting a reduced tuition rate, as Dr. Wong has done in Mercer County, which she successfully did with the culinary program. Dual enrollment, high school students shared at the junior, senior level, all the way down to the 9th grade level, sharing services, broadband, expanding IT services or other department services to benefit the county and put money towards the future of maybe virtual learning. Did I miss anything, guys? All right, we're good.
No, you did great.
Okay, we got it all.
Thanks, Kim. Great job. And so moving northward, let's go to the Northwest New Jersey, and I think John Connolly is going to present a quick summary.
Sure. Thank you very much. We also had a productive conversation. It really began with 2 reports from Somerset and Morris County. Somerset County, they have spent the last several years really solidifying their current relationships and so forth. They've been using grant money and putting together a particular focus on mechatronics and advanced manufacturing, and they've been making some advances in hospitality and in culinary. Their approach so far has been really informal, and they're looking forward to more formal approaches. Morris County, there was an acknowledgement that the law brings a lot together, in particular with Perkins 5. Perkins 5 is really a new beast. We know that it is, and doing the community level needs assessment is a critical piece of that. That formalized a lot of things, and the new statute provides us another structure that will complement that in a good way. And so Morris County is thinking about those. Aaron asked our group what we need to be thinking about sort of for the future. What is it that we need to do more largely to make a difference and to align state resources? Among the most significant was what we do with data. We really need to get serious about data in the state of New Jersey. We need to have it. We need to be able to use it. We need to defend what we do with it. That which is measured gets done, aligning things. If potentially we were to create a structure, for example, such as exists in New York State, where economic development entities and so forth use data in a particular way, it then can align what we do in the state of New Jersey. And so, basically, there's one narrative that's more data-driven and economic development oriented. We heard from some of the superintendents about collaborations, what we need to do together. They're looking forward to more collaborations in marketing and promotion together, messaging and so forth. And then finally, where is our funding going to come from? We can go to the trough and beg, or we can make our own destiny. And our group, but particularly Mike McDonough, talked about the future has really got to be focused on public-private partnerships. If we don't get serious about public-private partnerships, we're going to really have a problem in terms of funding. We have a mission to deliver, and there's not enough funding to deliver the mission. So we need to be looking in other places and other ways. And so those are the highlights of our conversation. And in Warren County, things are pristine and beautiful, and they've got good collaborations going on there. And that's what happens. You have smaller places with history and continuity. I think that's an important thing. Building continuity is key for us. So thank you.
Thank you, John. And so now, last but not least, Northeast. So who is the presenter from the Northeast?
So there was a superintendent and president directive that I would be the speaker. I explained that I might get in trouble for doing that, and they assured me that they would bail me out. So we started off talking about collaborations that could feed into or that were forming the work and learn consortiums. And certainly there were examples like in Bergen, where the Workforce Development Board was already part of the technical schools entity or structure. Of course, the One Stop on, say, community college campus. So there are beginnings, right? There are pieces of this, and it's just a matter of bringing all the players together, which is difficult. But there, we ended that conversation talking about how, maybe like in Union, where the vocational technical school superintendent and the college president kind of kept pushing at it and just pulled folk along to get there. We had a great policy recommendation for dual credit, and that was maybe if we could get 3 models of dual credit blessed and sanctioned by the state, it would just make it much easier, right? Because as an example, Dr. Rose in Passaic said he has 18 different models with that, all vary. And so if there were the 3 models, it would just make it easier to implement. It was very interesting because in Bergen, I think it was Bergen, they actually have dual credit programs out of state, right? With Syracuse University, which is both a great professional development opportunity for faculty, but a nice offering for students. Of course, the group identified lots of opportunities to share resources, facilities, labs, athletic facilities were some of the big ones, but there was an agreement that this is a major opportunity to save costs, and they're all working collectively with their county partners, with between the colleges and the vocational technical schools, on a plan or application for the Securing Our Children's Future bond. So those were kind of the highlights from our discussions.
Thank you, Catherine. Judy?
Yeah, just so many great ideas, a lot of great energy. If everybody didn't have colleges to run, schools to reopen, we could stay here all day and talk about these ideas. And I really do hope that this is the beginning of extended conversations. We're going to take 30 seconds for a last poll, and then we are going to come back and close out and identify some next steps where we go from here. So, Pollmeister? Nice. Great response. Couldn't ask for a better outcome than that.
And it added to 100.
And I assume that the 3% were folks that already have their eyes opened and are already doing incredible work. So, thank you, Judy, for partnering with us and your team on this convening. And thank you all for being here well across the entire state. I think at least all of our community colleges are represented today. And I don't know exactly the number on the vocational school districts, but it's probably pretty close to full attendance, which is a major accomplishment, but again, an indication, I think, of the excitement that is building and the incredible foundation to build on. So thank you all. So I want to talk about next steps very briefly, knowing that all of you have a lot of other things to do, and some folks are leaving for other Zoom engagements. We are laying out a couple of next steps that are laid out in the white paper, and I'd encourage all of you, if you haven't read the white paper, to look at it. Couple of key ideas. The first is to create a joint subcommittee of some community college presidents and some VOTEC superintendents that could meet and keep this conversation going in a smaller way. And so Judy and I will be reaching out, asking for volunteers of presidents and superintendents that want to work in a small group to keep this conversation going and keep this work and to guide the work of our two councils as we continue to support your efforts to build strong partnerships and as we continue to interact with state government leaders. We would like to continue some of the regional meetings and discussions. And so in the fall, I know we want to be very respectful of the fact that all of you have way too many meetings already. But one idea would be to keep those regional meetings together, keep them going as a forum for sharing and collaboration on a regional level. So that's one idea we'd like to follow up with you. Judy and I are going to be reaching out to key members of the Murphy administration and the legislature to brief them on this great discussion that we had today, the content of the white paper, and just to reiterate to them the important partnership that exists and needs to continue to be built. And so we'll be reaching out to the key departments, the Office of Secretary of Higher Education, Department of Education, the Governor's Office, the Labor Department, other key folks, and then key members of the legislature as well. We think it's critically important that the legislative leaders understand the important work that all of you are doing, and also the possibilities if the state continues to support the work that we are all doing. So we are very excited that all of you are here today, and more importantly, excited for the possibilities if we all pull together. I think we have tremendous impact and tremendous value and tremendous power if we can pull together and join arms and really do more than our fair share to move the state forward amid the crises and the opportunities that we face. So thank you again, and back to Judy for closing comments.
Thank you, Aaron, and really thank you, everybody. This has been great. This is not an easy forum in which to have substantive conversations, and I think all of you have really made great contributions to moving this conversation forward. I know that the county vocational schools are truly and deeply committed to this as a concept. It's been one, working more closely with community colleges has been one of our priority goals for a number of years. And, the idea again is to elevate best practices and find things that are common and work for everybody, not so much to dictate, but to make it more consistent and simpler. So we have a lot of work to do. We're committed to continuing all of this. And really, on behalf of all of my colleagues, I want to say to our county college colleagues, we look forward to working more closely with you going forward. And we have lots of good work that we can do together. So thank you, everybody. And, particular thanks, quick shout out, particularly to my team and to the team from the New Jersey Council of County Colleges. Did lots of work to make this all come out, work well, and keep the technology operating. So thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the week, and we will stay in touch.